Vicki, I'm so
Okay.
happy. I've actually been waiting for this for weeks now, and I'm so happy that you're here. And Vicki, I just want you to share what is it that you do in a nutshell. What is it that you do? Just tell us who you are.
Oh, Eileen, thank you. Thank you for having me on this podcast. It's so funny meeting you in Houston. What's it been? A little over a month ago. I was just immediately smitten. It's like we're at the same table and we just had this connection, and now we're just friends for life. But thank you for asking. I'm Vicki Stephenson. I am a certified relationship coach for women. And I help women go from relationships where they're feeling disconnected. You know what I mean? Just we just conversate about the kids and the have to, and you picking them up, you taking them here, whatever. Um, no real conversations outside of just, who's taking who, where, when, and what. But going from that and not feeling passionate about each other to relationships, and hear me now, hear me, that will get as good as you can stand.
Mm.
That's what I do.
I
Yes,
want to
it's a
hear more about that. First of all, meeting you the same because you have this like aura energy thing about you that's just like very happy and joyful. And it just feels good. Like just like being around you was just really comfortable. It was just so friendly. Like, and then when you started talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I know this stuff. Oh, this is so great. I love this. I love what you do. I have to like know you more and talk to you more. It's just that instant connection because I was there. I was one of those women. I get it. I was there, and it's so life changing what you do. It is literally life changing in not just relationships with a significant other, like romantically, but with your kids, with your parents, with how you deal with strangers, how you deal with stressful situations. It really just expands to so many other aspects. I just know that like romantic relationships, that's always like the number one pain point because everybody that's one of the most important parts in people's lives is their closest relationship to them. So I want to hear more when you say getting as good as it can get or getting as good as you can. Was it getting as good as you can get?
getting as good as you can stand.
As you can stand. Yes. Tell me more about that.
Okay. Well, my mentor, Laura Doyle, who is the woman that we trained under, she has a book that's actually entitled that Things Will Get as Good as You Can Stand. And I was a girl who, my husband and I raised twin boys. We had a very busy life. They were involved in lots of things. We were involved in lots of things in our community. And but if I'm honest, like the kids were kind of the center,
Mm.
and everything just kind of revolved around that. And I see now it's in the looking back, and I think that's what gives me so much passion to get this message out. I was reading every book I could get my hands on. We even went to like some amazing, Christian marriage seminars, a marriage weekend. I mean, things like that. But, and although they would be very good, they would be great information, um, it didn't lead to transformation. And when I picked up Laura's book, and the way I even found it, I ended up in my inbox one morning, and I wish I knew so I could give him credit. But it was a blog that I subscribed to. And the lady referenced in there, she was talking about respecting your husband, and she referenced Laura's book. Well, I quickly got on the website, and about 2 hours later, I came up for air. I was smitten. I'm telling you, it was, it was unbelievable the things I was learning just by reading Laura's blog. So, hey, to anyone out there, if you want to go read her blog, it truly is amazing. But what I realized I ordered her book. I actually downloaded it on my Kindle, and I started reading it. And it was in the first few pages that I felt such incredible hope, Eileen,
Mm,
because what I realized, I had been looking in the wrong spot for the problem. Everything was, if he would just do this, if he would just say these things, if he would just do it this way. And what I saw is that all the power for change, for my change, was on my paper. It was in me. And that is something I had control over. I have no control over another human being. So me waiting for years and years and years and years, season after season after season, for him to change and do things how I thought they should be done, it was a losing battle. But I got so excited just reading the first few pages of her book because I saw I could be the change. I could be the change. And Eileen, I just implemented one or two things as I would read. I would implement one or two things, and everything began to change. And I know I get it. I know this sounds like, okay, lady, what planet are you coming from? Because that cannot be. I promise it is unbelievable as we begin to peel our fingers off letting go of the control, refocusing our view from all that we feel like they're not to the abundance of all that they are and all they bring to the table. We've just been focused over here on what we think they're not doing. And
mm-hmm.
as we begin to share gratitudes and let go of the control and the micromanaging, first of all, the shift inside of me was so unbelievable because the tension was starting to, be released from my neck and just trying to, hold all the balls in the air and beginning to just let go and let those around me be who God created them to be, not who Vicki thought they should be.
Mm.
And then everyone in my life, Eileen, started to mirror back what I was putting into the world. Everything began to shift.
Yeah, we call that in manifestation world, everyone is you pushed out. So when you behave a certain kind of way, the byproduct is people's responses. So if you continue to put yourself out there a certain kind of way and get the same responses, but you're waiting for something different to happen. And it's like, well, if you put out a different version of yourself, then you're going to get different responses. And you are so on point when you said getting to the place where you can get rid of that control.
Yes.
Because we think we're being helpful, or we think we're like micromanaging. We think we're being the home manager, the house manager, and doing all the things and juggling all the balls because, hey, life happens and things got to get done. But it's the process of who has to do what and how it gets done. And then that little micro word, micromanaging, and turning being helpful into being really annoying.
Yes.
Being a really annoying wife or a really annoying woman. And I totally get that when you say that.
Yes, Eileen, that is so true. I truly thought I was being a great wife. I thought I'm so helpful. I remind him, like, did you call about the air conditioner? Did you call? Did you, all the micromanaging. I thought I was being his helper, but I'm going to tell you something that has helped me so much, and it comes straight out of Genesis. When God created Adam, Adam had named all the animals, so all the animals were there, but God said, there's not a helper suitable for you. And he said, it is not good for you to be alone. And he did not create Eve because Adam wasn't capable. He created Eve for companionship. And that was just like a brain explosion to me when I saw that in scripture. And it's like, that is something that I can surely be. I can be his companion. Not, I'm not, he's not incapable. It's not like I'm managing him. It's coming alongside. And I love to think of it even in terms of not just letting him be him. To me, that's still a little controlling, like letting him, but
Mhm.
rather celebrating who God made my husband to be. And I'm going to tell you, Eileen, I guess I started with these skills it's getting close to 4 years ago, I think. And I had no idea what was right under my nose in this man that I have. He is truly amazing. He has so many gifts that he has brought to the world that I look back and think I pretty much kept those squashed down because I was handling everything. And you cannot even believe all that has come out of just me leaning back, learning to receive. I had no idea how to receive. I had no idea how to receive. And just learning to receive his love the way he brings it, not the way I'm trying to make him into.
Yeah.
And it has just, it's just led to a relationship that thrives. Now, not perfect in any way. God tells us that in his word. You will have trials of many kinds.
Mhm.
And so, we're going to have bumps, but here's the best news ever. I now have the tools at hand to clean up my side of the street and be accountable for my side. And we are just right back on track.
That's a strong point that you made when you say my side
Yeah.
of the street, because when we're in that helpful mode, we always end up all over their stuff, what they should be doing, where they're at. Did they make all the calls? Did they pick up the kids, their schedule, all the things? And then it's like, and I hate saying it, but I think all girls kind of know the phrase when we're being like mommy and we start feeling like mommy to our guys because we kind of put ourselves in those roles to do it instead of just saying, I married a grown up. I'm with a grown up. He was able to take care of himself before me. So clearly he's an asset, not a dependent. And then we can treat them like you got your part, I got my part. And it's not to say like a business partnership, but at the end of the day, when you marry somebody, you are marrying a partner to make financial decisions with. You're raising human beings with. You're making decisions on like household and wealth building and land and just like, sometimes, hospital decisions, different things. You
Yeah.
are with somebody that has to be able to make these grown-up adult decisions. And would you really be attracted or have chosen somebody that wasn't able to do those things? And we
Mhm.
forget so fast and just throw ourselves into this like strange mommy role where we get so frustrated and upset, like we're in it alone or doing things by ourselves. So when you
Yeah.
say stay on the side of the street,
Mhm.
it's so like magnifying when you step back and say, wait a minute, all the things I can control are this. Why have I been doing this or saying this or behaving this way? And really do a lot of self reflection. Because if we're
Yeah.
not, we're like you said, sitting around waiting for years and months, waiting for them to change,
Mm.
but you're not them and they're not you. So you can only do yourself. You can only do your role, do your decision making.
Yes. You're so right. And on, quote unquote, our side of the street, that's where all of our power lies. I cannot make anyone do anything. Now, I know, people listening may say, well, we can make our kids do whatever. And we can. That is true. We can make them conform when they're in front of us. But all of our power is really over on the decisions that are on our side of the street. And something that I am learning, oh my goodness, this has been so, just talking about getting your power back. I feel like as I am implementing these skills in every area of my life, I can say anything as long as I say it from my paper. So what I mean by that is, instead of saying like, um, like I just say things from, I'm feeling like, or I would love, things like that, instead of, you need to go get blah, blah, blah. And I'm sick of this kitchen. I want it cleaned up. You never help, all that, which, guess what? Makes no one ever want to help.
Mm-hmm.
But
Facts.
instead, saying things like, I would love a clean kitchen. Now, he may get the children to do it. He may hire somebody to come in and clean the kitchen. Does it really have to be him? So it's like, what I help women do is get in there and figure out, what are our desires? Because if they're anything like me, and most of them that I have coached are, we don't even know what we really want. Now, we know what we don't want. I could tell you a laundry list of what I didn't want, but to get in touch with, what do I really want? Because that determines how we show up. So we begin to look at, if my end result is, I want a peaceful, passionate, fun, dare I say fun, thriving relationship. If I'm showing up criticizing and complaining, I am repelling the very thing I say that I want. And that's on me. I have the power to change it. And that's why it's so exciting.
That's powerful right there, because if you're nagging and criticizing and doing all the opposite, it's like, would you be attracted to that? Like, that's not hot, it's not sexy. That's just the reality. It's not hot, it's not sexy. It's like, you're not going to be on a first date, second date, you're not going to get proposed to. That, it's not attractive. That just makes sense. Like, it's part of that equation. But you also said something amazing, that a lot of women don't know exactly what they want, but yet it seems they're really attached to the how it's going to happen.
Oh,
Whereas if they could just know, or really reflect on what it is they want, and detach from the how it's going to happen, then they're not going to care how the dishes get cleaned. As long as it got cleaned and they ain't had to do it, then it's like, is that what it is? We just have to really get clear on what it is we want, and then detach from the how it happens. And that's where like the peace comes in. Is that how would you say?
Eileen, oh my, that is so powerful what you just said. We don't even know what we want, but we have a lot of how things are going to get done. It's like, if I had to think, I just know that I don't want this dirty kitchen. But what if we just said to
Wherever.
whoever's in there, I would love a clean kitchen. Or if we just announced in front of our children, our husband, whoever, I would love to have a clean floor and the toys picked up. You're not saying, you better get on it. Those things are repelling, but rather just to speak to what we do want. And then people know how to please us. When we're criticizing and complaining, people don't know how to help us. So,
Vicki, because I know there's a lot of people that'll see this and say, well, they should just do it just because it's the right thing to do. They should do it because they live here. They should, all the reasons why they should do it. And one thing that Laura Doyle says is, you could be right, or you can have intimacy, but sometimes you can't get both. And if you have to choose, which one do you really want? Do you want the intimacy, or do you want to be right? And I think that comes into play when you're figuring out what it is you really want that's going to make you happy. Would you rather be right, saying, yeah, you should be doing the dishes because I did it twice this week and you did it 0? Or do you want to just say, I would love for the dishes to be done, and just walk away and go do something else with your life, and then come back and maybe they're done, maybe they're not, but you're opening and allowing the space for the guy to say, oh man, she wants it to be done. Maybe I can do some of the dishes or do half, or, maybe when she comes home, they'll already be done and she'll be happy with me or something. And then giving the gratitude that you mentioned earlier, because like you said, if we feel like they should be doing it and then we don't tell them thank you because they should be doing it anyways, well, now they're going to feel like they did something nice for us. But then because we don't give that gratitude, that we acknowledge that we saw what they did after you've made that request, they're going to feel like, well, it doesn't matter anyways. Why should I bother? Is that a fair assessment? Is that how it works?
Eileen, that is that's just beautiful the way you said that right there. We do so much shoulding on ourselves and other people. They should be doing that. Why? And a lot of times when my clients first come to me, it's like, why would I tell him thank you, or I appreciate him taking out the garbage? Because he should be doing that. That's just part of living in a household. He should be doing these things. And you know what? You're probably right. It's just like, we all have to pitch in when we live in a household. But again, it goes back to, what am I desiring to create in this home? What kind of home do I even want? And before, I'm sad to say, I'm not sure I gave a ton of thought to that. I knew a lot about what I didn't want. But to sit down and think, God says, without vision, the people perish. And so once we get clear on, what am I even trying to create here in my home with my children? Or maybe your children have already left home. It's never too late. But maybe you're just starting to have children. But to think about, what kind of home do I desire to create? And going from that angle, it determines how you show up. And so things that, yes, maybe they should be doing in your opinion, but just to say, hey, babe, one day I said this to my husband after learning the skills. I never thought to do this. I just thought, well, that's his job. I do so much. That's his job. And I said to him one day, for 30 years, I have never had to worry about the garbage getting to the street. And I just want you to know, I really appreciate. I said, I feel so taken care of. And so that's something that we learn in my program, is we don't just say, I appreciate blank. I appreciate you doing blank. We attach to that. It really made me feel. It made me feel whatever, fill in the blank. So in that case, I just said, I feel so taken care of. Thanks, babe. Okay. And then it's like, oh, well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So that's going to, and I don't want to come off wrong. Correct me the way I say it. It's going to like feed into that masculinity part that wants to take care of their woman, that wants to be that, that provider, the one that, that savior that comes and saves damsel in distress, kind of thing. Like it feeds into that part of them, that masculinity part of them. Yes. But not in a bad way, though, I don't think.
Oh, my goodness. Well, this is something, probably one of the biggest surprises to me going through this program and learning these skills. I would have never believed this, but our men want to be our hero. And the problem in my case, I didn't give my man very many opportunities. I could do it all. I can think of times I would pull up and I'd be walking in, with stuff all in my hands, and he would come and say, hey, I'll get that for you. And I'm like, I got it. But honestly, Eileen, I thought I was helping him. I thought, well, he's worked all day. I can carry this in. And I just robbed him of opportunities. And now I'm telling you, if he offers to carry something, I take him up on it. I'm like, babe, thank you. Thank you. I feel
what's hard? What's hard about that? And I had this conversation actually a few times this week. When you have these conversations with couples and with people, I feel like couples probably don't talk about this stuff enough. I think if they really got into it, they kind of get a chance to step back and be like, "Wait, do I do that? Do I sound like that?"
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. But
And it's hard to see ourselves. It's like, well,
it really is. It really is. And
and
that's
I
probably why they
think,
say like people that complain about their spouses, you're
yeah.
more likely to complain about them more. So you don't really have that chance to reflect on how to be a better spouse because you're too busy like jumping along the bandwagon. But what were you gonna say?
Well, what was I going to say? I think I forgot. I think I was just going to, I know what I was going to say is you said they don't talk about this enough. And I know in my case, there was no one talking about these kinds of skills. Now they would talk about, I need to get him to communicate more. I need to, communicate my feelings and all that. But what in my case, and I can just speak from my own experience, what that led to, it never ended the way I desired it to end. I never felt more connected to my husband when we would have these talks. And it ended in Cold Wars, like days of just kind of chilly around here. Because I'm sure the way I said it, I didn't have the skills to know how to speak from my paper. So it was always you. And I didn't know. So no one was teaching us this stuff. And people say all the time to me, Vic, we have to get this out to everyone. I mean, we've got to get this out. And that's what we're doing. We're on a mission. We've joined Laura Dole on this mission to end world divorce, and not just end divorce, but I'm talking about living life to the full, not just surviving and keeping us together for the kids and all that kind of stuff, which is, important too. But I'm talking about relationships that thrive.
That's like a bigger picture because I get it when people say, "Oh, we got to stay together for the kids," and I understand where they're coming from because nobody goes into marriage saying, "Let me go create a family and then go have it break up and I don't care." That's not the dream. It's not the dream. I don't care what anybody says. The dream is not to have kids with somebody that you don't even stand to be around them.
Right.
One of the things that really caught me with these skills, and you're right, it's not just out there. It's always, you got to communicate more. You need to share your feelings more. You need to say this more. You need to do all these things more. And then you do it, and then you get all this pushback or it doesn't work. There's no transformation, like you said earlier.
That's right.
But with these particular skills, because I can vouch for this, because I was just Googling one day, like, because I come from a divorce, and I say, oh, my husband, he left and da da da, and this and that. And then I found a blog of Laura Doyle's, and that's how I found hers. And when I started reading hers and learning that respect is not manners, respect is this whole thing over here that I had no idea at all. I thought respect was manners. And I think the number one key to a really great relationship, regardless of who it is learning and unlearning. Respect is not manners, and actually learning what respect is. And that takes a lot of deep dive, and it does take some brain rewiring, because respect just sounds like manners. As long as you do this, then you're fine. I respect you. Of course I respect you. And then you go ask a man, well, what's your worst problem with your partner? And they're like, oh, they don't respect me. And they're like, what? I'm always nice to you. What? I'm always like this with you. And it just doesn't connect. Now it connects, because now I get it. So it's wild how these skills that they sound so simple, but if you don't really know what it means and you don't understand what value it really can impact in a relationship, then you really are just walking in blind. You're just walking blind in a relationship. Yeah.
I always say that immersion causes conversion. And when it comes to these skills, and I'm not saying you can't do it on your own. I mean, maybe you can. I know I would not have been able to, because it is we're going to have trip ups. And then it's like, oh my goodness, what do we do? And in the beginning, what clients do, and this is what I did too, as you're implementing these skills, one thing I had to remember, and I remember exactly where I was standing when I realized my husband's behavior back to me is not the measuring stick. See, I was using the wrong measuring stick. It was, I'm going to do this, so he'll do this. Well, guess what, Eileen? That's manipulation.
Mm.
Let, let me think. How could I say it this way so he'll do? Peaceful that it was like a million bricks off my shoulders. I felt so peaceful I could fly. I mean, that's just how it began to start feeling. And I realized that's the measuring stick right there. That's how I measure, are these skills working in my life? I was letting go of control. I would have never said I was a controlling person. I'm not a girl that's going to bust up in a room and, be but telling you we're going to do it this, that kind of thing. It was very manipulative under the water.
Mm.
That's control. When people say, I just walk on eggshells, and even that's control. You're trying to control an outcome.
Mm.
But as we begin to immerse ourselves, get a coach, get in a group of women who are learning the skills and practicing the skills, because we inspire each other as we share how we're winning. And then you get to hear other women get coached. You always take away something for yourself, because seriously, we all deal with the same stuff. I mean, it's a different face, but it's the
Yeah.
same. And so, yeah, learning how to show up differently, just immersing immersion causes conversion. So it's not just reading the book. I mean, we got to begin to implement it into our life, which leads to, I mean, it is unbelievable transformation.
It sounds like the key is, because in my head, the first thing I was thinking of was, well, if you're doing all this stuff to get this better result, then how is that not manipulation? And I'm sure there are probably women who are thinking that way. But then it sounds like if you just focus on being independently happy, independently, then it's not manipulation. You are just living yourself, living your life, being you and doing you. And that has nothing to do with the outer, just yourself. So you're going to be less prone to worried about the outcome and what he's doing and what everybody else is doing, because you're like, I guess, sticking to your side of the street and being
Yeah.
happy with where you're at. Is that about right?
That's 100%. I mean, you are so on it. And I knew that we were connected. Like I said, the very first night we met, going around the table, and I shared what I do, coach women on relationship skills. And as I shared a little bit about it, you said, you are Laura Doyle, relationship coach. And I was like, how did you know that? And you said, because I've read the book, I've implemented these skills into my life. And I think you did. Am I right? Did you have a coach as well?
I was in the group coaching program.
Yes, yes. So you saw the coaching. And
Yes.
yeah, so, and I'll never forget what you said, Eileen. You said, in my opinion, there's the Bible, and then there's Laura Dole's book.
You got it 100%. And I will die on that cross saying that, because I
Yeah,
know the Bible has so much information, but
yeah,
sometimes implementing is very difficult, because we have to decipher, like, how does God want us to behave and act and talk and this and that?
yeah,
And it's not always crystal clear. But when you read how Laura Doyle just explains it, even some of these thoughts like respect is not manners, when you just uncover that and what that truly means, which we can't do on a 40-minute podcast, but when you really get into this, you start realizing how to how to talk, how to act, how to behave, not in a way from like training yourself, but absolutely in a way on how to train yourself, because we're so bombarded in our brains. We're pretty much like, I don't want to say brainwashed by society, but we kind of sort of are on how a marriage should look like, how we should be talking to our husbands, even like the sitcoms where all the women, the husbands are scared of the wives and the women are come to the house like they're like some angry, controlling monsters, and everybody thinks it's funny, except that that's exactly how they feed into our heads. And then we go home and behave that way and wonder why we have the marriage that looks just like that. So when I came across this Laura Doyle book and I heard you talking, and I was like, oh, this is great. First of all, when you find something that's gold and then you find somebody else that's into that same thing, it's just like super exciting, because you're like, you start fanning out, you know? I was the same way with Sarah too, when Sarah's on here. Yeah. But it is so, it's good. If you don't have a coach, I don't care if you're in a good relationship or in a bad relationship. I think everybody needs to learn these skills, be preemptive on your desires of what you want your relationship to look like. Don't wait till bad stuff happens. If you're in a relationship, keep it great. Learn the skills, and then it could be even better. Like Laura Doyle says, she says that every marriage that can be saved should be saved. Is that that's the version she says, right? Mine's a little bit different, because I always say a marriage that should be saved can be saved. And I know she talks about, when should I stay in a marriage? Like, what is a good guy versus what's not a good guy? So it's not like she's telling everybody like, oh, you just got to stay in some kind of toxic mess and stuff. You know, no, she's going to explain it. And that's why you have these coaches here to help guide you through whatever that process is, whether it's, I need that support to get through this hump I'm in, or to get over something really toxic, or how to leave, how to go. Like, this is for that woman inside of us that needs that extra guidance to help us decipher what is the right thing for us to do, to be honest. Because I understand, like for me, one of the things Laura says is, if the guy can't be faithful to you, then that's your cue to go, because you're going to know. And for me, mine said, I need multiple women in my life to enhance my life. And I said, well, I don't share. So that was the end of that. But I absolutely did use the skills on the way out. And even certain little things of, when you show yourself being joyful and being happy and just really honing in on yourself and not being like miserable and depressed and frustrated with that person, it does draw some attraction back. And I remember with my ex, before we had split, we didn't even have to do a divorce in court. We were able to do everything outside of the court. So no attorney fees, because listen, divorces are expensive. And he was so private about his life. He wouldn't tell me anything about his life. And I said, oh, I went to swim at the dolphins, and I went to do this, and I had such a great bonus day on leap year day, and da-da-da. And I was sharing all of my stuff, knowing that he's like a closed off wall. And sure enough, after I was like, oh, this is great, look at these pictures of me, the dolphins, and I took my niece, and da-da-da, all the fun stuff. And all of a sudden, it had been like a year since this guy told me anything. He was like, oh, so I took up a drive to go see this person, and da-da-da stuff, and da-da-da. And all of a sudden, I was just sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, she's like legit. Laura Doyle knows exactly what she's talking about. I wonder how much miserable like behavior and just the continence of the energy that I was bringing in that was making him not want to share with me or talk to me or just be, you know, even like on a friendly, relaxed level. And even though that one didn't work out, you better believe when I started dating, this is like dating gold, just saying, you walk in meeting people with this, and it's just like next level. Your self-confidence goes way up. You start feeling like you are just like the cream of the crop, because you're like, I know how to respect a man. I know how to take a pause and reflect, you know, and kind of see like, oh, wait, let me make sure I keep myself in check and not have to be like clobbering over the person that you're, you know, trying to be with. And the guy ended up marrying. We got married in 5 months of him meeting me, because he was like, Eileen, I got to get you off the market, because if I don't, somebody's going to scoop you up. That's exactly what he said to me. It was hilarious. But I said, you're probably right. So, but yeah, so this stuff is really amazing. And I think every woman needs to check out getting a coach, the right coach. And if I have a say, Vicki, you are the coach, because your whole demeanor, you are what I call like, and I said this to very few people, and this is probably why I got attracted to you so much. You're like that iron fist with that gentle hand, because you can correct a woman in love and do it from a place of being tough and also being empathetic at the same time. And when you're going through so much emotional turmoil in a very horrific marriage, that's what women need. They need the tough love to change their route. And they also need that empathy to still feel all the love that they're not getting in that space that they're in right now. So I think that you are just that perfect cream of the crop. You are the coach that if somebody wants to get that, they need to reach out to you. So I have to ask, how should people contact you? How do they connect with you?
Oh, Eileen, thank you, first of all. I am receiving that, and that really touches me. Thank you so much. I am at VickiStephenson.com, VickiStephenson.com. And they can go there, sign up, leave their email, and I'll send them 5 mistakes women make trying to get their man's time and attention. So a great read right there. And then you can also find me at Thriving Biblical Relationships on Facebook. So I would love to connect. Oh, I would love to connect. I would love to share just more about how these skills have transformed my life. And I do think, I know in my life, I can just speak for myself. I know that a coach is so important. And as a coach, I would never tell another woman if she should stay or go or any of that. What I want to do is hear her desire, and then I will stand for her. If she has been through infidelity, whatever, but she wants to save her marriage, I will stand for her. But I'm not her expert. I'm no one's expert but mine. Although a coach can help you, I always say it's like we're a genie in a bottle and we can't read the label. Coach can help us see. We can't see outside. So a coach can help us see these things in our life that we cannot see. We've been living this life for, we've been dragging things from decade to decade, and we just think that's how it is. And a coach can help us see things like, actually, that's just a story, you're telling yourself. Just helps, so many things, helps us see a better pathway. But I do believe that the answers are inside of us. A coach can just help us get to those answers.
Love that. And I think especially now, mentorships and coaches, they're just so good because they get to help reflect. They help us to reflect on ourselves in a much faster space, first of all, because you're getting that speed from somebody who knows, and they can ask the right questions, and they can kind of get you on the path to do that inward work. But between coaching and being able to be in a community of other people that are going through something similar, or even just women who are married with other women who are married, it could be good, bad, it could just be at any level, but being in that community of other women who want to have a great marriage, a happy, loving, passionate marriage, fun marriage, that's the commonality. It doesn't have to be all the pain points that everybody's been through. It can be what is the result I want? I don't know what it's going to look like or how, but I know I just want to have a happy, fun, passionate marriage because this ain't working for me. So when they get into like your community, when they get in with you, Vicki, your lovely self, it really just has this sense of like peace and calmness, knowing that it may not look like it today, but the truth of today is not the truth of tomorrow. And tomorrow can look completely different than yesterday. And you just keep moving forward every day, getting that more calm, more peace. And before you know it, a year from now, you're like, I can't believe I used to complain. You see the trash on the floor, and then you're like, I used to complain that he's playing Tetris with the trash can. And now I don't complain about that anymore because I know if I say nothing, it's likely that he's probably just going to clean it up anyway. So why am I going to add arguing about dumb stuff like that to our list of memories? Like memories, happy memories are the best thing that you can give to anybody. So why would you want to collect memories of just constant, complaining about little petty things when a year from now, they're not going to matter. It's the important stuff, the exciting stuff. So this has just been such an honor to even get to talk to you, to have you here. Like, I am just so thrilled that I connected with you. It inspires me to just constantly stay on that frame of mind to do better and be better and stay on my side of the street.
Mm,
For
girl.
sure.
Yes. Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
that's why we all need each other. It's like it keeps our relationship shiny and new when we hear from inspiring women like you who are implementing the skills. And it's been my honor to be with you today. What a
Thank
joy.
you. Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
all about the 180 life overhaul change because some of us, we just want that 180 life overhaul, and you don't realize how close you are to that whole big life change. And sometimes it just takes that one little step. So I know there's going to be people out there that are going to reach out to you. They're going to change their life and they're just going to be so joyful and happy. And I can't wait to like get more of your success stories and hear more about all these amazing women that you're working with because I'm just thrilled, absolutely thrilled knowing you and knowing that you know these skills and that you are using it to gift your message to the world to help other people. So I think that's phenomenal. So on behalf of all the women that have gone through the through, I could say thank you that this is what you're choosing to doing because I know I've been there. I love it. And I love you for doing what you do.
Thank you, Eileen. You are a true gift.